You join me today in the V6 Lotus Emira touring chassis. As I was doing some research into this car, having Googled Emira configurator, I mentioned to James how surprised I was at the price. And he said, have you not noticed it's not on their homepage? So I went to the homepage and there were two buttons, one for the Electra and one for the other thing that I don't remember the name of. I'm like, where's the Emira? Like, this is the car that represents Lotus and it's nowhere to be seen. So I scrolled and I scrolled and I scrolled and I scrolled and eventually I got to the bottom of the page. There was the first time you see a picture of the Emira and a button to go and have a look around and find out more about the car. Why is this at the bottom of the page? It makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. This should be the car at the top of the page. So I just had to think, I need to drive this car and I want to see if there's a really good reason why they're actually embarrassed of it. I want to say a huge thank you to Frank for allowing me to drive this today, because this will be the first time I've driven an Emira on the road. And I can tell you, there's nothing about it for me that is disappointing. Oh, this feels good. Ooh, look at that whine. So let's get back to the question of, are they embarrassed of this car? Well, I think it comes down to the quality of the car. I think because they haven't quite nailed it yet. This car has not got many miles on it and it's starting to show a little bit of, let's just say, interior wear. Rippling of the leather, wear on the corner of the bolsters on the seats. You shouldn't be getting that on a car like this. This is a car that would cost somewhere between 92 and £110,000, depending on how you spec'd it up. Look, I don't want to beat up on Lotus because I'm a huge fan of the brand. It's a brand that's iconic, and if you're paying this much money for the car, you shouldn't have these issues.
Owners have reported all sorts of issues ranging from paint blistering, electrical and software faults, clutch and gearbox complaints. One owner reported gearbox engagement problems, which was then corrected by a dealer, HVAC and lighting malfunctions. I mean, the list is quite extensive, and of course all fixed under their warranty.
It's just not good enough. The thing is though, I think I know why. They're trying to make too many of them. And how do I know that? Well, because I've actually been to the factory. And while I was there, I saw a lot of cars that had stickers on them with things that needed to be fixed. I was absolutely astounded. We were told every N minutes a new car comes off the production line. I don't remember the exact number, but it wasn't a lot. And I said, well, how did you arrive at that number? And they said, well, the company decided they wanted to sell 6,000 cars a year. So we figured out that to do that, this is how many cars need to come up the production line every day. And therefore, every this many minutes, that's how many cars come off the production line. So I said, but there's a lot of cars outside that need to be fixed. Do you think maybe you're trying to make too many of them? And he went, oh, well, you're always going to have some rectification that's needed. You're always going to have the odd issue here and there. And I'm like, yeah, but wouldn't it make sense to slow down production just a little bit, see if you can get them off the production line without having to fix them, and then once you've done that, try to speed the process up until you start to see the defects coming back again. He was like, oh, well, yeah, that's kind of like, that lean stuff, isn't it? I went, yeah, that's right. Lean is something I'm particularly interested in. In fact, I actually advise companies on that sort of thing in my day job, should we say.
Lean came from MIT research following Toyota's success in outpacing US car makers on quality and efficiency. While American cars were known for breaking down, Japanese reliability drove down American car companies' market share from 89% to 65% by the late 1970s. The twist? Toyota's secret weapon was actually an American, W. Edwards Deming. He had laid out principles emphasizing continuous improvement, staff autonomy, and a focus on quality. Detroit laughed his ideas out of the boardroom. Meanwhile, Toyota listened. Deming's principles became the foundation for the Toyota production system, or the Toyota way. No waste, empowered workers, total quality. For example, if a defect was spotted, anyone could stop the production line to fix the root cause rather than let defective cars pile up outside the factory. These ideas spread across Japan, resulting in fewer cars needing rectification, more cars being shipped to customers, with fewer recalls and fewer warranty claims. This all lowered costs as well as providing a better ownership experience, making Japanese cars even more competitive. Some dismissed the Toyota way as only applicable in Japanese culture, but MIT wanted to prove otherwise, and they did. They captured the essence of Toyota's approach under the banner of Lean. and it's now used everywhere from car factories to hospitals to digital product development. So, with a supercharged 3.5 litre Toyota engine at its heart, you'd think Lotus might have had the Toyota way at its heart too. But
that didn't seem to be happening, and that really saddened me because this car, otherwise, is exceptional. So good. The way it goes through those corners, it grips beautifully. The gear changes, oh, they're so chunky and clunky and oh, delicious. And I know James isn't a huge fan of this gearbox, but I don't care what he says. I think it is amazing. I love it. Just the tactility of it. Even the gear knob itself is just the right size. It's the right material, it feels premium. The seating position is fantastic. You feel like you've got plenty of room. It's practical enough. You've got enough space in the back, even though the bonnet doesn't actually open up, which is a little unfortunate, but I know why they did it. They did that to keep the cost down. The development costs of making those mechanisms is quite high. And the interior of this car looks fantastic. I mean, I've seen supercars with a worse interior than this. I think the only criticism I'd have of its interior is the steering wheel. It's a really odd shape for no apparently good reason, but if your main complaint about a car like this is the shape of the steering wheel, which honestly, with an aftermarket steering wheel could probably be quite easily fixed, I think they're doing pretty well. Everything about it, I like the throttle response, I like the brake feel, I like the steering. The steering gives you some great feedback. It could be heavier, but that could be me being a bit of a nut job, or it could be the fact that I just remember what driving an Exige is like, and obviously that has no power steering. I'm glad this has got power steering. For times like this. Oh, there we go. I actually want one of these cars. I really do. And it's the kind of car that I would love to spec from new to be exactly the way I wanted it. But honestly, I just could not part with £107,000 for my ideal spec, given the issues that I may then encounter. Yes, they'll be covered under warranty, but I've heard enough horror stories about getting those things addressed. I think I'd rather those things have already been addressed and everything else just be down to me. You know, I think I'd rather pick one up for the originally advertised price of £60,000, which is what you can get a used one for at the moment. Obviously, the price varies greatly depending on age, mileage and spec, but the cheapest ones on the market right now are around £57,000, which is pretty shocking. And if I then found, well, there's a few issues with the seats or with the trim or whatever, I'll just take the seats out and put in some bucket seats. I'd have the budget for it. And would I get the Touring, or basically the standard chassis as they're now calling it, or would I get the driver's pack with sports suspension, as the sport chassis is now being called? I'd definitely go for the driver's pack with the sports suspension. It's probably the worst car for British country roads, but it would be the car that I think I would enjoy the most. And speaking of enjoying, supercharger whine. Woo! Oh, it sounds so good. Oh. One day I'm going to probably take a car out and do a longer video, which will be a little bit of a love letter to Lotus, begging them to really look at these quality issues. Honestly, because this car is among the best cars that I've driven. I don't have the experience of James. He has certainly driven way more cars than I have, so you probably might want to take his opinion over mine. But this is fantastic, and it's a lovely place to be. Thanks, Frank, for lending us your car. I, personally, have fallen in love with it. So, Lotus, put this front and center on your homepage. Show people that this is the type of car that you are known for. I don't understand why you wouldn't want this to be your poster child, because it is, and it deserves to be.
Several days later.
And the Emira is back at the top of the Lotus homepage, and I cannot tell you how glad I am to see that, currently with the Clark edition. Now, I'm not sure why it got demoted on the homepage previously. Maybe Lotus needed to sell a few more EVs to make their quota. Maybe they needed to slow down on Lotus production in order to make sure that they solve the quality issues. But whatever reason they had, the Lotus Emira to me is a fantastic car, and it deserves to take pride of place at the front of their homepage. I'm glad it's back where it belongs.
Thanks for joining us. Please like and subscribe, and check out our podcast on the radiator arms. And for today, that's all. Bye-bye.